Hey, we're back. We're back. Sorry about the little interruption. Here, let's, you want to get this full size. There we go. So we were just talking about why do we so easily forget that God is actually at work in those natural means? Because it's common, right? Because we see it every day. And we are creatures that take things for granted, and we lose that wow factor and that awesome factor. And maybe just because it's removed from us too. You know, I think the farmer in a lot of ways is more cognizant of God providing on a daily basis than we are, who just go to the grocery store and stop at Walmart or Kroger or Publix or whatever it might be, and there's an endless amount of food there, except for during pandemics. But you know, it's almost endless, and you just, well, that's normal, that's the way it is. But you take it away, maybe, and sometimes you realize, yeah, God is at work. Or when you grow it yourself and you do the gardening, or you raise your beef or whatever, maybe a little bit more hands-on, you see that and recognize it. It's part of our sinful flesh, right? We take things for granted that we should not. But so that's the normal, natural means that God provides for us. God may also provide for us for his creation through supernatural means. And these would be our miracles, when super things happen. And so, of course, I had to put this guy in there. So when super things happen, not by Superman, of course, but by God's blessing. So those are the unusual things. Those are the things that you don't see each and every day. And those are what we call miracles. So let's look at some examples of what a miracle would be. I tried to pick out a few of them that weren't so common, maybe, because you know, maybe some of the miracles in the Bible are not so well remembered as some of the others. Somebody once told me that Jesus performs 32 miracles in the New Testament. If you look at the 4 different Gospels, I've never taken the time to double check that and tally that up. Sounds about right. 32 different miracles, but certainly he did so many, many more, because there are those passages that talk about how Jesus went to a village and he healed all of their diseases and all of their sicknesses. And so he probably did 32 right in that one village or more, but 32 that are individually counted. I think that's the number. So some examples of some miracles. So Hezekiah's steps in Isaiah 38. That one always is amazing to me. So Hezekiah is dying, and God tells him he's dying, and Hezekiah pleads to God for his life. And God says, okay, Hezekiah, I'll give you another 15 years. And in order to prove that, those shadows on the steps from the sun making its progress towards the day are going to go backwards, and the sun will shine on those steps again. So, wow, you know, not only did God miraculously cure Hezekiah's disease and give him 15 more years, but he also proved it with the sun going backwards. That's a miracle, right? That's not the natural, normal way that God provides for his people. That is supernatural, that not even Superman could do. The virgin birth, of course. A lot of babies are born around the world, a wonderful gift from God. And that's why I refrained from calling that a miracle before. But the virgin birth, certainly, when there is not the normal union between man and woman and the normal way that babies are conceived and born, but a virgin birth, as recorded in Matthew chapter 1, that certainly is different. That's truly miraculous. One time in the history of the world, we're never going to see that again. 2 men receive sight. Just again, maybe a miracle that we just blow past and didn't realize it. It's kind of a shorter account there, but that's one where they're crying out, Jesus, Master, have pity on us, have mercy on us. And everybody tells them to be quiet, and they don't stop, and they just keep yelling, and Jesus grants them their sight. So there are a few miracles, Old Testament, New Testament, you know, many examples, and there's a few of them for us there. We know them when we see them, right? They're outside the usual. So God primarily allows his world to be governed by natural means. Yep. When you sit down for your next meal. You're not going to have it miraculously show up. It's provided through natural means. The day is going to have 24 hours in it. The times when that has been broken, those were supernatural means. So things kind of go on as normal unless God chooses to intervene. Psalm 104 is fascinating. Psalm 104:14, he makes grass grow for the cattle and plants for man to cultivate, bringing forth fruit from the earth. So Psalm 104, I like that section there because it talks about all of those natural means that God uses to provide for us. And if you keep going after verse 14 there, so he makes grass grow for the cattle, plants for us, so we've got our food. And then he talks about the trees. God waters the trees in verse 15. Wine and oil and bread, so kind of their staples, their basics of life that God provides for them. Verse 16, the trees are watered and grow. And then he talks about the birds make their nests. And then he talks about the wild animals in verse 18. And the lions, and the sun rises and the sun sets, and the moon and the sun, all of these things make him say in verse 24, how many are your works, O Lord? In wisdom you made them all. So a good reminder, all of this happens because God makes it happen. We might not call it a miracle, but don't kick God out of the picture. All of this happens still because he makes it happen. Even though we might not say, wow, that's a miracle, think about the ways that God continues to provide for us. We call that his providence. Based on what we have learned today, let's define what a miracle is. How would you define this? A miracle is, I've got a couple of definitions for you. I included one here, and I wrote down another one that I think I even liked better. So this one was mine that I came up with. A miracle is this: a supernatural event in God's natural order. So that was what I came up with, a miracle. It's a supernatural event beyond the normal in God's natural order. So implying that things just kind of keep going. And then here's something that breaks into it that is not the normal. It's supernatural. I read this one, and maybe this one is better. I don't have it on the screen here, but I came across this definition and I liked it. It says a miracle is the working of God outside the norm to accomplish his purpose. Sorry, once again, I think I have to pause for a moment. Nope, somebody got it. That's good. So let's continue going. So let me say that one more time. The other definition was the working of God outside the norm to accomplish his purpose. So that's a miracle, outside the norm. Last thing, as we're getting to the end here today, for thought, should we even speak of natural laws if God can smash them? Should we, like I talked about, the laws of science and the laws of physics and chemistry and things like that, the different laws and rules. Should we even speak of natural laws if God can smash them? Yeah, and I guess my thought there was this: maybe we kind of wash God out of the whole thing, don't we? And I'm not saying we have to call this God's rule number 1 and God's law number 2 or whatever. But for us, just to remember, okay, these laws happen because this is the way God set them up. I always kind of cringe a little bit when people talk about Mother Nature this and Mother Nature that. What are you saying? What am I saying when I say that? And maybe it's not anything bad, but Mother Nature, well, why not say it's God? God sends the rain from the heavens, and God provides for us, and those rules exist because God created gravity and he put everything together at creation. He has this power, and yes, he can smash them. So maybe we could say they're laws for us, but not necessarily for God. Laws for mortal human beings, but not for the Almighty Lord. Next time, we are going to talk about the purpose of miracles. And if you want to, you can think about that. And it's probably, well, I'm going to suggest it's a little bit more varied than you might think of why God performed miracles. There's actually quite a few different purposes, but we'll get into that for next time. And a mini miracle may have just taken place, and that I think we got done here in a half an hour. So we're pretty close. I started a little bit late, I guess. I shouldn't toot my own horn. But thank you for joining me today on our Bible study. I've enjoyed it, and I look forward to our next class on the purpose of miracles. Thank you for joining in, and God bless your day. Until next time.